Hello all friends. This manhwa meets us with a narration about Sun Dong. Since childhood, he was stronger than others, and at the age of 14 he defeated every villager in arm wrestling. But one day he returns to the village all wounded, exhausted, and lost his memory. He is saved by a kind old man in exchange for help in his work. The boy helped, and helped with enthusiasm. He waved an axe and said that he wanted to check who was stronger than him, or the trees on that mountain. In general, life was getting better. And it was like that until Song-doon turned 15. The old man, part-time head of the village, suddenly died, and his relatives decided to get out of this rather downtrodden village. Song-doon grieved for the old man. This was the only native person he knew for him. And he decided that he would repay the kindness of the old man with his backbreaking work. Dong lived and worked day after day, month after month, year after year. And now another 10 years have passed, and Doon was still cutting wood and doing chores around the house. He turned 25, and it would seem that everything suited him in such a life, but something did not work out for him in any way. He still couldn't get married. It so happened that Song-doon was quite overturned, and he could not find a wife in the village. Then he had a brilliant idea. Maybe there are beautiful girls in other villages? We should go check it out. And so our hero, with a small backpack at the ready, he already wanted to hit the road, but no sooner had he left the village than he met a girl he had never seen before, a girl who entered the village at the ready with a sword, a girl who, like him once, was all wounded. Residents were wary of the girl, considering that the sword was a clear sign of her membership in the Muram society studying martial arts. Become my wife. Without thinking twice, Sun Dong shouted. Beat Jinjin, to put it mildly, did not expect to hear such a thing in the village. On the first day after she was sheltered by a widow, her expression spoke for itself. The answer was as brief as a wave of the sword reluctance. The girl explained that she wanted to live alone and that she was not interested in the wedding. But Song-doon did not give up. He was resolute in his convictions and ran after Jinjin all day, gave her gifts and tried in every way to appease. But it did not give results. They say if you hit a tree 3 times, no matter how big it is, it will fall. That's just it didn't seem to be about Jinjin at all. It got to the point that even the villagers began to persuade her. And when Doon was almost desperate, she came to him. And on the 120th attempt I accepted his offer. Time flew by, and the first fruit of their love, son Umun, was born. The young family was very happy about it. However, beat Jinjin, and so did not have strong health, and after the birth of her second child, Song Yugen completely weakened. Doon spent all his savings on medicines for Jinjin. Such care made her cry often. 8 years went by, the children grew up. The first son was just like his mother, handsome, had a refined figure, and cooked a pot well. His shortcomings were excessive obstinacy and intelligence. Song Yuman was a tomboy who was not shy and always expressed his emotions. With age, like his mother, he began to manifest a disease. The second son received only good things from his parents. He took after his father in body, so he easily rebuffed bullies 3 or 4 years older than him. And the mind of Sun Yugen was not inferior to his brother at all. One day, members of Muram, the masters of the volcano clan, wandered into their village. They immediately noticed the guys and were ready to take Sun Yugen for training. Sun Yuman was overjoyed and also wanted to enter the path of study, but they refused him and added that the boy did not have long to stand on his feet. The disease has done its job. Despite his weakness, the boy never complained that he could no longer run around like his peers. He never showed pain so that his parents would not feel sorry for him. But that time when Sun Yugen went to study alone, he just couldn't hold back the tears. He always liked stories about martial arts and battles. And now that he had such a chance, it was all in vain. He fell into depression. So the life of 2 children turned upside down by the will of the masters. So some time passed, parents were worried about their sons, that he had gone to work hard in the volcano clan, and that he was left all alone. Until one day a strong light illuminated the whole house. Running out into the light, they saw a man standing in the sky, an old man with a beard as white as milk. On that day, someone also came to Umun who had prepared a different fate for him. The old man asked for a plate of noodles. He was immediately taken into the house and fed. They communicated with him very respectfully, calling him a celestial. And so the old man ate and wanted to pay for the food, but he was refused, referring to the fact that it is a great honor to feed the celestial. Then he asked for paper and a brush. The family thought that he would write them a wish now, and they were happy. This is considered a good omen. The father went to get the paper, and son Umun was left alone with the celestial. As it turned out, the old man knows about everything that happened and knows that Umun cried in despair all evening. Umun's questions were postponed. The old man was told what he asked. He exclaimed, "Okay, then I'll draw you a landscape." The celestial waved his hand and at the same moment the paper hung in the air. The brush slid in the old man's hands, drawing new patterns and drawings. Even where the brush itself did not swing, strokes appeared. The next moment the painting was ready, a real work of art. Father and son stood amazed by the beauty. "This is where we'll say goodbye," the old man said, and hurriedly left without even saying his name. All he said was that he was on the same line with the angel. The next moment, Song Umun began to hear lines from Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching. The Book of the Way and Dignity is a fundamental source of teaching and one of the outstanding monuments of Chinese thought, which had a great influence on the culture of China and the whole world. But he did not even know about the existence of this book, not saying already about the concept of connected with angels. After the celestial's voice died down in his head, son Umun's attention was captured by the landscape. The landscape came alive. He began to move, and thanks to this picture Umun got two things. The heavenly art of swordsmanship and the skill of the sword of the angels seemed to call Umun to themselves. It turned out that only Umun could see the movement of the drawing because his father could not see anything. Umun spent all his time near the drawing and his health improved. And now he turned 20. It turned out that his father did not welcome his hobby too much and believed that his son was obliged to do business and not sit and look at the picture. Because of this, they often had skirmishes with their son, and the whole village got used to it. Umun, whose health has improved significantly since the picture appeared, became a complete idiot, having lost any mental abilities. And in one of these skirmishes, when Umun was running away from his father without looking around, he flew into the armed guard of a young lady who made a strong impression on him. The guards already wanted to teach the guy a lesson, but the girl stopped them, telling them not to mock the weak. At this moment, another gentleman comes up to them, accompanied by people. He greets Ms. Yong, but from the dialogue we understand that she is not interested in him. More importantly, Umun learns about the competition that will take place in 10 days and where all the noble warriors and Murim students will gather. In particular, the best in the entire Pexanan Empire and the best newcomer Jiangchen. Dane gets bored of his son's unhealthy attraction to the painting, and he decides that it's time to get rid of it. And that the old man who drew it is a cheat and a crook. He was about to burn it, but his son stopped his father. He squeezed him so tightly by the belt that he almost died. And when did he have such power at this moment? Visitors come. Yes, I forgot to mention that they opened something like a diner by the look of an elderly master and his student. The master's gaze was immediately attracted by the painting and the young man standing next to it. The master recognized in the painting something more than art. He saw in it the innermost truth. For any warrior on the path of Tao, this is more expensive than any treasures. While Umun carelessly ran away to do his father's errand, the master offers a deal. Buy a painting for any price that he calls. Songdoong agreed without hesitation. The money was running out, a lot was spent on medicines, and it was an ideal option. They bargained for 5 yangs, a unit of the old Korean currency, but the master realized that Doong did not understand the true value of the painting, so he gave him his piercing divine white sword and left with his student. What was Umun's surprise when he returned home and his treasure was gone. Neither the money nor the master's sword explained to son Umun the actions of his father, who did not immediately admit that he had sold the painting and tried to lie that it had been stolen. Umun grabbed the sword and the money and went after his jewel. Running as fast as he could, thinking only about the picture, He knew that the martial arts master Muram could only go to Ryujin, the historical name of Pyongyang, for the tournament. After a while, he caught up with the master and the student and stopped them with an incredibly loud roar, "Stop now." From such a loud roar, the student even found it difficult to stand on her feet, and she was completely incapacitated. The master was at a loss. How could a guy who clearly didn't practice martial arts be able to make such a strong roar that his student couldn't cope? The master became interested in the boy. He found out that Umun cannot live without the painting and demands to return it back. Then the old man reminded him about his sick mother and money problems. It was a test for the kindness of the heart, and Umun passed it. Thinking about his sick mother, he, with pain in his heart, agreed to give the painting to the master. However, the master was in no hurry. He had his own plans for the boy. "Touch me and I'll give you the painting, so I'll also give you money from above." Umun was a little shocked by such a generous offer and hurried to accept the challenge. The best swordsman of Kunlun, Jin Wooten. That was the master's name. Although he was not one of the greatest warriors in the world, he was said to be as good and famous as the great masters. "You won't regret it, right? If I manage to touch you, will you fulfill your promise?" Umun asked hopefully. "Regret it? Ha, come on, make me regret my words," the master replied with a sneer. Umun's thoughts were only about the painting. He gathered his will into a fist and began to try to snatch the painting from the master's hands. His movements shocked the master. Are these exactly the movements of a person who has never studied martial arts? But still the movements were not honed, and the master easily dodged Umun's attacks. In addition, the latter received a blow with his palm, which caused him to fall. Umun immediately got up and began to attack again, and again missed, as expected from the master. Time after time he tried to touch the master, and each time he found himself on the ground, and it wasn't that Umun was bad, it was just that the old man was incredibly fast. How? This is no good, you should give up. From such words Umun boiled. He thought, no, I can't give up. His movements are so fast that I didn't even notice, however, his last blow. I started to see the movements of this grandfather's hands. His movements are similar to the movements of the leaves in the picture. And if so, I've seen it many times. The next moment he made a new lunge, disguising it as a tactless movement. At the last moment he changed the positions of his hands, which surprised the master very much, who decided that this was another stupid attempt. It seemed that he was already close to victory, but no, the old man sent him to the ground again with just one movement of his palm, so much that the master's disciple was scared. You didn't overdo it? It's too cruel for someone who has never learned martial arts. The old man's thoughts. I just applied the golden dragon power technique of the royal servant on him. Was he able to figure out her secret in such a short time? No doubt he was trying to apply it. Umun got up thinking that his hands were too short. If he had a sword in his hands, at that moment his gaze fell on the stick. The next moment, he was already standing with a stick in his hand and in combat readiness. This time I can. The old man stood in disbelief because he had just blocked the acupuncture points for the kid, but he unblocked them without any problems. It's impossible, this guy, who is he? Meanwhile, Song Umun had already raised his hands to strike. His movements became more precise and faster. It's dangerous with these thoughts. The old master stood in a stance and concentrated energy in the palm of his hand with a movement of his hands, and then directed a blow at Umun. The force of the blow was so strong that he flew several meters away from the old man. What? A wound opened on the old man's shoulder and blood poured out. It looks like in a hurry I tried on the most excellent technique of Amida Buddha. This guy, how is he? Cried the disciple of the master. Song Umun was lying on the ground in a comatose state. His hands were all bruised and bruised, blood was coming out of his mouth, and he was almost passed out. The old man ran up to the guy and immediately realized the truth. Without realizing it, he studied martial arts through drawing. That's why he moved so strangely, that's why the movements were not sharpened. And therefore his body could not withstand such loads. What have I done with this kid? Meanwhile, Umun was screaming. He was in unbearable pain. Save me, the old man did not wait and sat Umun in the lotus position and then began to open his chakras. For an hour you have to stand guard so that no one will disturb me and him, do you understand? Otherwise he will die, he punished his student. Got it. The old man's thoughts it's bad, his body is badly damaged, in pursuit of my little curiosity. I went too far if I put my Kai into him, I can save him, however. He will never be able to summon Kai and strength for martial arts. I'm sorry, no matter what, I'll save you. Umun was in a lot of pain. In gusts of pain, he thought about his parents and about his stupidity. The thoughts of the student damn, it's necessary to get so stuck on the way to the capital when we are so vulnerable to attacks on grandfather, those people who need his death will invisibly attack. What if we run into them? And at that very moment voices were heard from the bushes, what luck, Jin Wooman from Kunlun, it's your time to pay. The student's thoughts, so that's what they call out of the fire and into the flames. I can't cope with them. What should I do, Grandpa? The master continued to work on the guy while the unknown came closer and closer. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like and write a comment. Have a nice day and bye to everyone.